Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli with the first review of this year's list of Halloweenish films. Yeah, reviewing Halloweenish films and whatever that, I review on weekends of October. And for the first review, for this month and, for the first weekend of October, October 3rd, sorry, I almost said 31st, October 1st, that's right, you read the title of what I'm reviewing, and fun fact, and for those of you that do or do not know, today marks the 40th anniversary of this black and white stop-motion film directed by none other than Tim Burton. That's right. From 1982, Vincent. This was Tim Burton's, debut directing, something stop motion. Technically, he had been a director before. When he was a student at Cal Arts, he made a couple of, short films. And then when he went to Disney, some of the designs that he drew, as we all know, his art styles, although never used, and he worked on films like, say, The Fox and the Hound, and even, say, was, it seemed as though that maybe his art style and the way he draws or something, it would have worked in The Black Cauldron, but that never came to be. And of course, two executives at Disney, they decided to cut him a break, and they let him make short films, and with one of the short films being this Vincent. I think apparently this was based off of a children's book. I think it was by Burton, but I guess decided that it probably wouldn't sell well as a children's book, and so turned it into a short film as we all know it. I also found out that, many people say that, it was screened before Flight of the Navigator. Okay, that was in 1986. This was in 1982. There's no way. But apparently it was released, but it was shown before a forgotten Disney movie called Tex, and yeah, it is a very underrated Disney film, and probably nobody remembers it. I'm just starting to learn about this. I do know that Matt Dillon plays the main character, and the name of the character's name of the title of the film. Again, Matt Dillon, who I am very familiar with. So yeah, but this, it's a forgotten Disney film, but this short film not being forgotten, especially since we all know and love Tim Burton and his popularity. So yeah, it's a pretty, I'd say, yeah, it's a pretty good stop-motion film, and it is kind of creepy, definitely. The first time I watched this was when because I had the Nightmare Before Christmas special edition DVD. Well, not special edition. It was a 2-disc DVD. And it had, on disc 2, it had Vincent and the live-action version of Frankenweenie. So that was the first time I ever watched those two, which were on the Nightmare Before Christmas 2-disc DVD. And I'm sure for you guys, you probably had that same experience too, watching those two short films on the Nightmare Before Christmas DVD. And you know what? I'm surprised that, how come this is not on Disney Plus yet? I don't know, okay, we got Frankenweenie, right? Well, aside from the stop-motion Frankenweenie film, if I recall, we do have the live-action Frankenweenie, the very first version of Frankenweenie, but no Vincent as well. What the heck? Maybe eventually they'll put Vincent on. Who knows? We'll see. I'm sure that there are those who would request for Vincent to be on Disney Plus. After all, it is Disney property, technically. Well, that's the thing, any movie that Burton has done at Disney, he owns it and Disney owns it. Specifically, of course, The Nightmare Before Christmas. So Vincent, Vincent, being narrated none other by the legendary horror icon himself, Vincent Price. Yeah, I'm gonna do my Vincent Price impression during this review, because why not, you know? So he is the narrator, of course, of this short film, and, you know, because, like, the budget that this short film has, not bad, and, you know, the thing is that you never see, like, the adults, like, you only see, like, the kids, like, the only, like, human characters we see are, of course, Vincent Malloy, his sister, who makes one appearance in one shot, Vincent's mother, his aunt, and, you know, we get, like, say, cats in the short, and Vincent's dog, Abercrombie, and that's okay. So yeah, Vincent Malloy wants to be just like Vincent Price. He is, and with his crazy make-believe imagination that he is Vincent Price, you know, like his house being all creepy and stuff with gadgets and, you know, all that ghoulish kind of stuff, and, like, you know, imagining dipping his aunt and, you know, his, you know, in his wax museum, or, you know, experimenting on his dog, Abercrombie, to make a horrifying zombie dog so they can search for victims in the London fog. Yeah, and if I recall, like, there would be some inspiration for, well, okay, for the dog, Abercrombie, there would be some inspiration for Frankenweenie, obviously, so, and even, like, say, Edgar Wright, if I got that right, like, one of as the short establishes the narrator, like, one of Vincent Price's favorite authors, Edgar Wright, I think so. Like, the name Edgar, that's one thing. Apparently, like, Vincent realizes that, you know, he gets news that his beautiful wife had been buried alive, and when he puts that... Okay, let me tell you, this short, the first time I watched this, it did creep me out a bit. This and Frankenweenie. I think, yeah, well, obviously, when Frankenweenie was released, the live-action version I'm talking about, it was scary, and that's what got Burton fired. And they fire him, and yet a year after his firing, they would release The Black Cauldron. We all know how that turned out, and how much that film had to be cut. Disney, I'm telling you. But anyway, so, okay. So stuff, again, as I said, this short film is creepy, and, like, some shots with Vincent kind of creeped me out, like when he puts the book down his mouth, oh my gosh, that creeped me out at first. Again, the first time I watched it, and especially the tombstone where he's digging out the grave to make sure that his beautiful wife is dead. You look at that tombstone and, like, that's kind of scary looking. The carving in the tombstone, the cross, whatever. Okay, so, like, as the narrator says, he dug out her grave to make sure she was dead, unaware that the grave was his mother's flower bed. And, you know, Vincent's mother sent him to his room. He knew that he'd been banished to the, what was it again? The, Tower of Doom, where he would spend the rest of his eternity, you know, alone with a portrait of his beautiful wife. And, you know, even, like, Vincent's mother coming in to tell him, you know, if you want to, it's a nice day, it's sunny outside, and, you know, you can go out and play. And, you know, Vincent tried to talk, and he grabbed a piece of paper and, you know, like, saying that he was hallucinating and, you know, possessed, and, you know, and Vincent's mother, you know, saying, you're not possessed and you're not almost dead. These games that you think of are all in your head. You're not Vincent Price, you're Vincent Malloy. You're 7 years old and you're my son. I want you to get outside and have some real fun. I just love the movement of the head, like, because of the budget that the short film had, well, you know, it was good because, you know, not to show the faces of the adults. It's just like, say, hey, we never see the adults of Peanuts because the kids are the main focus. That makes sense. So I just love how the movement, I gotta kind of do this, like, you know, the hand moving and she's pointing. That's pretty good. You can really see the detail of the animation, like, wrinkly and such. And, well, how the clay animation, like, I don't know why I'm saying clay. It's not clay animation. I'm meaning to say stop motion. Just stop motion. The way that the stop motion was done, the puppets, like, this was 1982, so, and the budget that Tim Burton and the other people had doing the short film, and the climax, technically it is a climax, where, again, this is Vincent Malloy's imagination and his make-believe, and, he's taking, it's like Vincent Malloy is taking his imagination / make-believe very seriously, and he's like Vincent Price, Vincent Malloy is Vincent Price being tormented by so much going on, like hearing his wife calling from the grave, seeing his zombie dog, Abercrombie, just skeleton hands reaching for him, all this wacky and crazy stuff happening, and then, like, say, this is another terrifying shot where, like, he, screams and, like, it is creepy. It's like, well, they had to, like, put more clay in to make the mouth bigger, and as the camera zooms in. That's a nice detail. And did I forget to mention, this has some really good shots, like, in this, there's a lot of great shots, I should say, in the short film, like, the one where Vincent walks, is walking on the stairs to the, it slipped on my head, the Tower of Doom, that, and also when he's trying to reach for the door to escape the madness, it's kind of bendy and such. That's a pretty good shot. And another shot where he is, the portrait of his beautiful wife is big, and, like, those are really good shots. And, the goal of trying to make those shots, like, they're bigger than Vincent, that's great. And then eventually, he collapses to the floor and barely had the whisper of a voice, and the narrator closing off, quoting, hold on a second, like, let me see, does it just give the whole, like, I've got this, I always have this pulled up on IMDb, jeez, Edgar Allan Poe, oh, I'm so sorry, why did I say, okay, I got Edgar right, but I got Edgar, the first name Edgar's right, but right? No, it's Edgar Allan Poe. I'm very sorry. So, but fell limp and lifeless down on the floor. His voice was soft and very slow as he quoted The Raven from Edgar Allan Poe. And the last words, and from Edgar Allan Poe, the quote of The Raven. And my soul from out that shadow lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore. I think I did pretty good there. Yeah. What a way to end that short film, I should say. Wow. I mean, I guess it kind of ended on a sad note, or, a dark note, I should say. And, yeah, what a heck of a short film that this turned out to be. And, from the mind and genius of the one and only Tim Burton. Yeah. The music in this was great too. Very creepy and scary, especially like at the beginning of the short film and during the credits. This flute, I was saying flow, bleh, like, man, that's kind of beautiful, like bit of beautiful flute music. Another thing is, like, obviously, you wonder what Vincent Price thought of this short, and this is what it reads. Like, when Vincent Price was asked what he thought of the short, he said that it was the most gratifying thing that ever happened. It was immortally better than a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah, that came from Vincent Price himself. Like, well said, Vincent. What a good sport he was. What a great guy he was. A true icon. You name it. And also, yeah, I almost forgot to mention. Yeah, and the trivia reminded me that there is an earlier form of Jack Skellington in the climax where all these things are closing in on Vincent, and somewhere, like, one of them is an early form of Jack Skellington. Well, fast forward in the late 80s when it came up to Beetlejuice, the top of like the headpiece that Beetlejuice had, an umbrella piece, whatever it was, attention Kmart shoppers, like, it's another early form of Jack Skellington. Even the first time I watched Beetlejuice and I saw that, I was like, oh, it looks like Jack Skellington. And the fact it is, again, an early, like, another original, like, early form of Jack Skellington. So, yeah. And that's another thing, too, because I think, like, somewhere in the early 80s, when Burton was still working at Disney, you know, he got the idea of The Nightmare Before Christmas when he saw, I think at, maybe it was at Disney or at just some store where, you know, Halloween decorations were being taken out and, you know, Christmas decorations were being put in. That's where he got the idea of The Nightmare Before Christmas. But anyways, yeah. So, okay, yeah, and I was right, yeah. Was originally convinced as a children's book, so, but of course, it wound up being a short film, and it was, yeah, I think it was a smart idea, the best idea for it to just be a short film, so, yeah. Could you imagine if it was, you know, like, published, like, as a children's book? The same thing was going to happen with Nightmare Before Christmas, because Burton couldn't decide if he wanted to do Nightmare Before Christmas as a poem, something, just, yeah. And eventually, it would become the movie as we all know and love today. Alright, so with all that being said, Vincent, what an amazing short film this is by none other than Tim Burton. And to think, because after this, he would make 2 more short films, and then his movie directing career would kick off, as we all know, for the list of films that he would direct. Yeah, just, it's amazing. And hey, let's hope that Vincent, you know, will eventually come to Disney Plus. Come on, like, it's Tim Burton and it is Disney, so why would it not be on Disney Plus? You know, we'll wait and see, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be on Disney Plus eventually. And what about you guys? What did you think of Vincent? You know, what was your first reaction? Like, were you creeped out because it is creepy. It's not only good, but it is kind of scary and creepy, especially if you watch it for the first time. So let me know what you thought and what you thought of my review. I definitely give this a 10 out of 10 because it is a masterpiece of a short film because, you know, Tim Burton, Vincent Price, it was during Burton's early career, and even when he was working at Disney, you name it. Yeah. So, again, you know, leave comments and give this review a like as always. So, again, with that being said, 10 out of 10, once again, you know, for Vincent. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Vincent. More reviews coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. And now it has begun. Throughout the month of October, reviewing Halloweenish films and, you know, whatever comes up on the weekends. And for the first Halloweenish film I'm going to be reviewing, well, let's just say it has to do with a classic silent movie vampire. You may know who I'm talking about. Stay tuned for that. Take care, peace out, and happy 40th anniversary to Vincent.